Hey guys, welcome back to another Kidstuf. I'm Jessica.
And I'm Jeremy.
And today we're going to continue our series over the Ten Commandments.
Yes, so first let's do a recap real quick of what we learned last week. So last week we learned the story of how the Israelites got the 10 Commandments. They had 10 plagues in Egypt because Pharaoh didn't want to let them go away. They had the Red Sea split in front of them and they walked on dry ground. God provided manna, which is like bread, and quail for them to eat every single day while they were in the desert. And then they went to Mount Sinai, and that's where God spoke the 10 Commandments to them.
Yeah. So we had a question for you last week, and it was, where is the other 10 Commandments stated? Where are the 10 Commandments stated in the Bible?
And they're stated in Deuteronomy 5, 6 through 21, which you can see in the Bible if you look it up if you haven't done so already. And Deuteronomy is the restating of all of the laws of the Old Testament in the Torah. So that means it's the same 10 Commandments that God gave them in Exodus, but it's just written again in Deuteronomy.
Yeah, and then we had another question, and it was, why do you think God gave the Israelites the 10 Commandments?
Well, the answer to that, which I know you all wanted to know, is God gave them the commandments because the Israelites didn't know how to follow God, because they were slaves under Pharaoh in Egypt. God gave them guidance, which we can use that guidance today to help us understand why the 10 Commandments are important.
Yeah, so last week we told you to make this little craft, and it's to get 2 pieces of paper and put them together and make your 10 Commandment tablets so you can write your 10 Commandments on each week when we learn them.
So if you haven't done so already, you can pause the video here and make 10 Commandments. You just take a piece of tape and tape 2 white pieces of paper together, and then you cut them up to look like stone tablets, and then you color them with a gray or black crayon or marker, and then you can write the 10 Commandments at the top. And then each week we're going to add 2 new commandments to your 10 Commandments tablets. So this week we're going to add Commandments 1 and 2.
So let's talk about the first commandment. The first commandment is, you shall have no other gods before me. Why is that? Why does God say that?
Because God alone is who we should worship. God is the most important being because He created us. He's our creator and our sustainer and our helper.
So the reason that this is in the 10 Commandments is because we sometimes have gods in our lives. Like, for example, your phone.
Or TikTok.
Sometimes your TV.
Or maybe even your favorite YouTube channel.
Yeah, so God tells us this so we have no other God, so we can worship Him always.
So, if you want to spend more time with your phone or your tablet to watch YouTube or TikTok than you want to spend with God, then you're putting God below that thing, which is not good.
So the second commandment is, you shall not make an image to worship. What does that mean?
So, in Egypt, they had images like painted or carved into walls and statues made of gold, bronze, all the glorious different metals that people like today. And they were just plastered everywhere. And what the Egyptians would do is they would worship those statues or those temples and those places to the other gods that were in the Egyptian gods. And God didn't want them to do that. God wanted them to worship Him and Him alone and not an image or an idol.
God gave us this commandment because we sometimes have idols in our life. So for you guys, maybe JoJo Siwa.
Or Harry Styles.
Or Charlie D'Amelio if you watch TikTok.
Or maybe your favorite YouTuber that you want to copy.
Yeah, and we shouldn't have idols because God should be our idol. We should worship God always.
Well, God's not an idol.
No, yeah, you're right.
God is the person we're supposed to worship. So, we don't want to worship idols or make an image that we worship. So sometimes if you have a poster on your wall and you want to look like them or act like them or be like them, you're starting to make them an idol, which isn't good, and God doesn't want you to do that. He wants you to worship Him and Him alone.
So this week, try and see if you have any gods or idols in your life, and try to take them away and not make them as important, and worship God over everything.
So, if you haven't already, this week you can make your 10 Commandments tablets, but also, we want you guys to learn the story of the 10 Commandments. So, next week, we want you guys to be able to try and tell your parents the story with the 10 plagues, the splitting of the Red Sea, the manna and the quail, Mount Sinai, and God speaking the 10 Commandments. If you want to find the entire story, you can find it in Exodus. It's all in Exodus before chapter 20. So you gotta look before chapter 20 in Exodus and you'll find the story of the 10 Commandments.
Yeah, so we'll see you guys next week, talking about the next 2 commandments. So see you later.
Yep, bye guys.